It's dinner time, and we're making a low-carb version of a steakhouse favorite. We have steaks, we're gonna spice crust them, sear them in the pan, finish them in the oven, make a low-carb cauliflower cheesy mash, and make a red wine mushroom pan sauce. We have a lot of work to do, so let's get down to business. I have two beautiful, thick, big boy New York strip steaks in front of me. I'm gonna cook them in the beautiful tri-ply stainless steel pan, but I wanna make a little spice rub. So I have some salt, and I have a little jar of cumin and smoked paprika, two of my favorite spices. I'm gonna mix that up and just dust it over the steak. Heavy, especially on the salt when you have a steak this big, and we'll flip the steaks over, and we'll do another generous pinch of salt and the spice rub. Now, when it comes to cooking in stainless steel, it's perfect actually for steak, but you number one, wanna preheat the pan. Get it pretty hot over medium-high heat, put a good amount of oil in there. I'm gonna use avocado oil. Hot pan plus hot oil will make sure your food doesn't stick. The cool thing about this pan is that, yes, it's tri-ply, meaning there's an outer layer of stainless steel, an inner layer of aluminum, and then one more layer of stainless steel. But that core of aluminum goes all the way up to the sides. And that really helps with even heat distribution, which means the steak is gonna get a beautiful crust on. All right, you can just tell the pan's hot, the oil's hot. We'll take the Flavcity silicone tongs and get the steak in. And then when it goes in, just give it a little press down so you get a really good contact with the pan. That'll help the crust form. And then, just like I always do, immediately go down with the splatter screen, because hot steak, hot oil, it's gonna splatter all over the countertop. You can wash it by hand, you can chuck it in the dishwasher, it's good to go. While the steaks are searing there, we have to get going on the mash. Think of your favorite cheesy potato mash. Well, this honestly tastes, in my opinion, the same if not better, but we're swapping out taters with a head of cauliflower. The Flavcity knife, and just chop through it here. Now the knife, once again, is 67 layers of Damascus steel. It's got that beautiful design on here, and the ergonomic handle just makes it very comfortable to chop. And of course, you're gonna wanna keep it sharp before every use, and you'll have the honing blade too. So that way your knife is sharp every single time. Then I have a pot of water coming to a boil there. I'll grab my oven mitt here, take the lid off of the pot. Now this is the stainless steel pot that goes with the stainless steel pan, tri-ply. But keep in mind, when you have a tri-ply stainless steel cookware, it's basically indestructible, meaning it's not gonna dent, it's not gonna burn, it's very green because you're not gonna have to replace it ever. Now, before I drop the cauliflower in there, I do wanna season it, just like I would season a little bit of pasta water. Use my bench scraper, which easily helps me transport the cauliflower to the boiling water safely. Great for cooking, but also great for cleanups, getting all the scraps. And then I also want to throw in 4 cloves of garlic to boil, because if I put the raw garlic in, it's going to be a little bit of a harsh flavor in my mash. I can hear the steaks talking to me. I believe it's time to flip here, and it smells really good from that smoked paprika. See what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. The flavor from that crust is going to be epic. So I'm going to sear it for another 2 minutes, then we'll chuck it in the oven. And I'm going to roast that in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes until the internal temperature is 135 or medium rare. So how do you know when the cauliflower is done? Because you actually don't want to boil it too long, because then it gets mushy and waterlogged and your mash will be very watery. So what I do is just take one out after 7 or 8 minutes. Take a fork and do that. If it mashes but has a little bit of resistance, it's done. So what I'm going to do is kill the heat and my Flavcity mesh strainer and take it to the sink. Then we'll take the cauliflower and the garlic and put it into a food processor. Go in with a pinch of salt, a little pepper. So we're gonna add some grated white cheddar, a couple knobs of grass-fed butter here. And then I used to stop there, but then I found if I took a little bit of cream cheese, and actually I use dairy-free cream cheese at home for this, and add it, it makes it nice and tangy. And it's my go-to now. I'll slap the lid on the food processor. You can also do it on the blender, and then go to town. It's done. Wait till you see the texture on this. Look at that. Incredibly rich and creamy here. Buttery, cheesy. We check for seasoning. It's so good, and the cooked flavor of the garlic is the icing on top. So that is the base with our steaks, which I should check on right now. It's gonna be money. Okay, so I want you to notice a couple of things. Number one, the steaks look money. Number two, see the bottom of the pan there? There's some really good flavor. There's the fat. There's the spice rub. So I'm gonna take the steaks out first. You cannot, I repeat, not cut into these beautiful steaks right now because the juices would run everywhere. They can rest for 5 to 20 minutes, especially if you put some kind of foil over the top. I'm gonna put a dollop of ghee or butter on top and let that melt into the meat while it's resting. Then I'm gonna fire up the stainless steel pan here and take some mushrooms. Now, white button mushrooms, boring. Baby Bella mushrooms, which are baby portobello, great. But these are actually shiitake mushrooms, so much flavor. So if we cook that for a little while, splash in some wine and make a red wine sauce to go on top of our steak, to go on top of our mash, high five. All right, look at the color on these shrooms here. They're massively caramelized. A little sacrifice from my keto wine here. Throw that in there. I'll let that reduce. I'll go with a knob of butter and then we eat. In case you're wondering how to clean a stainless steel pan, when you make a pan sauce like this, it's essentially cleaning itself. And then I'm gonna call the shrooms, the sponges here. You just put it in the corner and it completely cleans it, but I will make a separate video and I'll link to it below to show you how to care for your stainless steel, especially when it's wickedly crusty. Okay, now we take our knobs of butter there. Turn the heat down just a smidge and let it melt and get thick. Okay, look at those shrooms. Silky, velvety, full of goodness. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a base of the creamy cauliflower mash. One pile there, and just a little baby pile for some culinary glue to stick to this steak sauce. Look at that. Come on. You're not gonna know, you're not gonna care that it's low carb, keto. I can guarantee you, no one's gonna know it's even cauliflower, not potatoes. You get fancy with your parsley, you get your wine, and my friends, that's it. That's dinner. Make that, I'll put the recipe down below. It's a cinch to make it when you have the right utensils, like the stainless steel and all the stuff in my cookware set, but I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Make it. Cheers.